Coming up on ATV News, one of Logan's favorite places may be closing for good.
See what Utah State's most macho men did for women.
And A-Week kicks off with the Red Bull Chariot Race.
In sports, we'll tell you how the Aggie fans are handling the basketball team's roller coaster season and how men's tennis is handling their own ups and downs. And us.
It has been raining all morning, but I'll tell you when you can dine outside again, coming up on ATV News.
Welcome to ATV News. I'm Jessica Black.
And I'm Britta Anderson. Longtime television host and producer Dick Clark has died today at the age of 82.
Clark's agent said in a statement that the veteran host died this morning following a massive heart attack. Clark leaves his mark on generations of fans. He helped change rock and roll and TV forever with his shows like Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve and American Bandstand. Today certainly isn't the day that music died, but it lost its best-known host. For a man who spent years saluting his fans, today they salute back.
After over 40 years of operation, the Willow Park Zoo may be closing its gates.
Kelsey Keller went to the zoo to see why you may not be able to visit your furry friends anymore.
The Willow Park Zoo's main focus is on education, and that's been their main focus since they opened their doors in 1970. With over 400 animals and 100 different species, most of them being birds, kids get the chance to come and see these animals and at the same time read and learn more about them. However, the zoo comes up about $100,000 short of their operating budget to care for these animals. Most of the zoo's revenue comes from a county sales tax and a state grant, and while admission is only $1 for kids and $2 for adults, the zoo isn't exactly picking up a lot of money, and they've been aware of this for the last 5 years.
So rather than making the difficult choice then to either size the zoo down or close the zoo, as is the situation we are faced with today, we elected to use some of the zoo's fund reserve.
But it looks like the time is here to stop using the zoo's fund reserve and start taking some action. That action just hasn't been finalized yet. Kelsey Keller, ATV News.
The city is discussing other options besides completely closing the zoo down. One of these options would include handing the zoo over to the county.
The city is also anxious to have community input on the situation so they can know what you want to see happen with the zoo.
Even as a student, you can have a voice in your political party, and Brianna Bodley shows you how. She went to Cache County's Republican Convention last Wednesday to find out what your local politics are really made of. Brianna, what did you learn?
You know what, Jess? In national politics, you can't always say this, but I learned last week that in local politics, the individual really matters.
I know that
speeches were made, votes counted, and USU students became important parts of a democratic system.
I am a county delegate.
The county delegate.
I'm a county delegate, and I'm here to vote for the state representatives.
Students involved themselves politically last Wednesday as they represented your vote at this year's first Cache Valley Convention.
There's quite a few students that got involved on campus and went out to their caucus meetings and got elected as both county and state delegates.
Participating in politics, sometimes your voice can seem like just another drop in the bucket. But when it comes to local politics, that bucket gets a whole lot smaller. This is something that some USU delegates said they learned at the convention.
The politics that actually matter, that matter the most to people, are the ones at the state level. So it's really important to come and vote for a representative who's going to represent your viewpoints.
I get to come and vote about significant positions to be filled within our state government, so your voice really is heard, and it's important that you let your voice be heard.
It was great to be able to be elected and provide a lot of great opportunities to network and meet political figures and to be able to truly have an impact, a real impact in the whole election cycle.
I just want to thank
Party leaders say they've seen a lot more participation from students this year, and according to them, it's about time.
We went several years with people spending all their time laying on their couches with a remote in their hand, and now they realize that they need to be involved if they want to make a difference.
As you can see, these days, politicians aren't the only ones involving themselves in policy.
Thanks, Brianna. Utah's state conventions are this weekend. They will determine which candidates running for senator will make it to the primaries.
A community is in uproar after a man announced his plans to build in an empty lot near their homes. I went to find out what each side has to say about the situation.
It's on 400 North.
It's basically in my backyard.
It affects everyone in that area.
What they're talking about is a proposed truck stop going in at the corner of 400 North and Highway 89 in Wellsville.
We're building a convenience store, truck stop, auto plaza.
Local residents say it has no business being there.
It has nothing to do with truckers. It has nothing to do with what truckers do for us. It's a zoning issue.
But Curiopolis says that it does.
The zoning is commercial highway. It's consistent with the historical use that's in the property. This was a gas station here on this corner at one time.
And opposers are asking for it to be classified as an adult motel.
The city code in Wellsville says that if you have someone who can stay less than 10 hours, or that a space can be rented out for more than once in a 10-hour period, then it's an adult motel.
There's not a motel on it. The dispute over the motel is nonsense.
Another concern is the traffic flow for the area.
They are requesting that they use a residential road as a business access.
My issue is using 900 East as a commercial access to the business. Not only traffic-wise, number of cars and trucks that will increase on that road, but also a safety issue.
Nobody's going to plan their vacation to come to our truck stop. It's just not going to happen. The traffic that's here is the traffic that's here.
A final decision is expected to be made by the middle of next week. Even if the proposed project passes, Curiopolis says it will be a while before construction begins, and when it does, it will take 3 phases to complete.
When we come back, we'll tell you the latest on the Trayvon Martin case.
And did your favorite USU athlete win at the U-Stars Awards show? We'll let you know coming up. Florida Judge Jessica Ruxidler will decide by Friday whether or not she will excuse herself from the murder trial of George Zimmerman. The judge admitted personal ties to Zimmerman that may compromise the case. George Zimmerman is a 28-year-old neighborhood watchman accused of second-degree murder in the death of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. After Martin's death in February, rallies sprung up in cities across the country, including Salt Lake City. Citizens marched to the streets protesting Zimmerman's actions and the slow movement of police officials. Organizers of the rallies say they were there to keep a murder like this from happening again. They say Zimmerman's actions were without excuse and entirely based on racism. People on the street were also there voicing their own disagreement with the protesters.
We are here to stand in solidarity for him, and we are here to stand in solidarity of all the people who are losing their lives to injustice.
I admire them for being out here and expressing their freedom of speech and expressing it out in public. I think that's a good thing, but I think before they go rush to judgment, they need to get let the whole police investigation take place.
1 in 4 women and men experience domestic abuse every year, and Utah State University's Club Savvy, the Sexual Assault and Violence Information Club, showed their support for the prevention of abuse by doing something you don't see every day. Courtney, what is this all about?
Well, last week, members of the Utah State football team wore shoes like these as they marched around Utah State campus showing support for prevention of domestic abuse.
Last week, you may have seen men marching around USU campus, but if you looked closely, you would have seen their high heels that they are wearing for Savvy's annual event, Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. Hundreds of men showed their support in stopping domestic abuse as they walked 1 mile in women's shoes around USU campus. Some men even did a little performance in heels.
Diversity, unity, trust. See the light through the darkness.
But this year, you might have seen some familiar men marching that you usually see on the field.
This week, Utah State University's football players traded in their tennis shoes for high heels. For Savvy's Walk a Mile in Her Shoes for prevention of domestic abuse. In between 6 a.m. practices and classes, several members of the team showed their support for their community.
We're playing a big part in people's lives and the people that have their family or whoever has been abused in the past, and we're just showing our support to them.
We feel like it's a big, way to show the community that everybody's involved, and once everybody's involved, football team, we can help. So
players want to make sure that everyone in the community is safe.
I feel like it's important so everybody knows that their kids and family members or whoever's in society that they're safe in their community or wherever they're living at.
No means no.
This annual event is growing more and more popular, and more men are kicking off the cleats and strapping on the heels.
Thanks, Courtney. For more information on dating abuse, you can visit the Savvy Center in the TSC.
The fight against cancer can hit close to home. Most people have at least one friend or family member that have been affected. Randall Henry went to the Relay for Life to find out how people walking keeps cancer research going. Well, we're experiencing some technical difficulties, but I will say that the Relay for Life is one of the biggest nonprofit organizations in the world, and it continues to grow each year, bringing hope to people's lives.
Here at Utah State, we pride ourselves in the academic and athletic performances of our student athletes. Last week, the Utah State Student Athletic Committee hosted this year's U-Stars Awards. So who won the Best Newcomer of the Year, and who won the Best Athlete of the Year? Romina Nadakovic was there and has the results.
The award winner for Male Newcomer of the Year is Chucky King.
Awards were given out to Utah State student athletes for their accomplishments this year.
We're going to start our evening off with a bang. Okay.
With football players as hosts, awards such as Best Individual Performance, Best Team Performance, and Fan of the Year were given out. Athletes were honored to be at the ceremony.
You know, it's a good experience. I'm blessed to be here with all my friends, and I'm excited to be hosting, and I hope it goes well. It's going to be a good night.
Athletes of Utah State University came tonight to celebrate their achievements, like the women's tennis team.
Teams such as the volleyball team, the softball team, and 4 football players entertained the crowd while an assortment of food was served. Later in the evening, 2 volleyball players sang a duet. Over 10 awards were given out to athletes, with the entire crowd cheering on. The evening was a night of fun and cheer. Romina Nadakovic, ATV News.
The fee to get into the U-Stars Award show served as a fundraiser of canned food and cash donations for the Cache Community Food Pantry.
Romina Nadakovic is now standing outside on this cold day to tell us what's coming up on your ATV weather.
Hi, yes, the rain has not let up yet, but I will tell you if the sun will be shining coming up on your ATV weather.
So the weather's been kind of rough lately with all this rain and everything.
Yeah, this morning when I was walking to class, my shoes got all wet, my pants were soaking. So yeah, it's been rainy.
That's right, ladies, it has been wet today, and the weather is not letting up yet, but I do have some good news. But before we go to that, this morning, there were tons of puddles on campus, and the campus was extremely wet, but I have, that's going to be changing real soon because the sun will be shining. And there's our Brianna Bodley right there, and here's some more shots of campus. It's been extremely wet, and here we go. So The temperature will peak at 60 today and will go down to 36 degrees, but we're not sure exactly if the rain's going to let up yet. But as you can see here, the storm is passing through northern Logan. The majority is hitting northern Utah, but thankfully that won't stick around for long. Here's another map of the United States. As you can see, Arizona, New Mexico, and even Texas, they're starting to heat up. But we're swaying between the 50s to the 60s. But soon we will get into the yellow and the orange range. And here's a close-up of Utah. Cache Valley and Salt Lake, they are in the 60s. But as you go down to southern Utah, it is warming up into the 70 degrees, and even the western half of Utah is getting into the 70s. But now let's look at our 5-day forecast. Today, like I said, we will reach the high of 60 to a low of 36. And then tomorrow, we'll see more sun, but we still have a 50% chance of rain, so it'll be a high of 60 to a low of 35. Then, as Friday comes, things will get a little bit better. As you can see, the high will be 69 and the low will be 38. The rain will go away, so tuck away your umbrellas. And then as Saturday comes, we'll get to a high of 74 and a low of 41, but it will be nice and sunny for us. And then finally Sunday, it will be a high of 80 and a low of 42. So things will get better. Hopefully Mother Nature won't bring back rain clouds again or cold weather. But until then, get ready for your ATV Sports.
Hey Aggies, welcome to ATV Weather. Well, get out that broom because the Utah State softball team took the field last Wednesday in a doubleheader against Weber State, and they swept those Wildcats right off the field. The first game was a close one. The Aggies took the lead in the beginning, but the Wildcats kept rallying back. The game ended 7-4. As they headed into their second game, you'd think that junior pitcher Mandy Harmon would be tired, but nope, she just kept right on pitching. The Aggies came out early in the game ready to play with 2 runs in the first frame. The Wildcats tried their best to take a lead, but they never did. The game ended 10-3. The girls are taking on Idaho State right now down at the field, so head on down and support the girls. All of the major sports are over, and the Spectrum has gotten a little quieter than usual. Bailey McMurdy is outside. Bailey, it's weird to see the Spectrum so tame these days.
Yeah, Meredith, it's pretty crazy to see the Spectrum so quiet, but I sat down with some guys who are known for getting the Spectrum pumped.
Did I really?
Seems like any regular college crowd, but don't let that fool you. The D. Glenn Smith Spectrum in Logan, Utah has been compared to college crowds like North Carolina and Duke.
When you step up in the Spectrum, you gotta like take it all in and realize what's happening, because it was just really on a massive scale, something just really huge.
Heckling, taunting, and mockery is the name of the game when it comes to Aggie basketball, and junior Charley Riddle gave himself a special role during games.
It's my job to destroy the souls of every opposing player that enters the building. And so as long as we can distract them from the game, you know, and get their minds off of it, then our players can do better against them because they're distracted and frustrated.
Even though basketball season is over, a little thing students like to call Spectrum magic will never die.
It's undescribable. Spectrum magic. You come happy, you leave happier. Something that gets you deep down in your soul.
It's kind of like that crowning moment when you're watching Fantasmic at Disneyland where Mickey's at the top, there's splashes coming up everywhere and loud music, and it's every second of the game. It's just excitement, it's power, it's wonder, and you're just excited that you're an Aggie, you're excited that you're at every game, you're excited to be watching people play basketball, even if you don't like basketball, you're excited that you're there.
It's just kind of a feeling of, we have all these awesome memories, and our student body gathers here in massive numbers, and we're all here. We all see these really cool things like Stevan Williams in 2009 when he had those 8 straight points against Nevada. It was the loudest thing anybody's ever heard.
I've never heard something so loud in my entire life. I mean, it was incredible. The floor was vibrating. It was something I'll never forget as a player.
And it's because of that magic that people from far and wide keep coming back for more.
People always ask me, what are you doing in Utah? What are you doing in Utah? Especially when I'm, you know, talking to other students about Utah State that are like, why Utah State? And then I can't help but think the Spectrum, you know? I'm just like, you have no idea what being a true-blooded Aggie really is. Like, forget the kissing on the A, forget, like, I mean, tradition is good, but you need to come to a game.
I haven't missed a game in the 5 years that I've been at Utah State, and I know from personal experience the Spectrum is unlike any other. I can't wait till next fall for some more Spectrum magic.
Thanks, Bailey. It's definitely going to be a wild ride next season. Utah State's men's tennis had a roller coaster ride this past week. The Aggies lost to Idaho on Friday, and every match was a fight to the finish. Now on Saturday, WAC rival Hawaii rolled into the Sports Academy. Junior Sven Poslunsny put up a fight in his match against Jonathan Brooklyn. After falling in doubles, he fought all the way back to a super tiebreaker in singles. He has been great for the Aggies in that #1 spot. You can just see him moving his feet right here. He's very quick. Senior Nate Ballin's match also went into a tiebreak, but he lost in a 1-10 matchup to wrap up one of the final matches of his Utah State career. The Aggies said the losses were hard to take.
Sven played a great match, played a great player, and just you know, got outplayed in the tiebreaker there. But we had a couple more guys injured, and wasn't, you know, our full effort there, so it was tough that way.
There were some ups and downs, but I fought hard, and I think if it would have been a regular set, it would have been different. It was just like 1 or 2 points in the match tiebreak, and that is just, it decides the match, and he came up really with some good tennis in the tiebreaker.
I think we were a little flat after doubles, maybe a little deflated that we didn't get it, but we need to do a better job of getting ourselves ready to play mentally, just be up and fighting right from the very beginning.
The Aggies rebounded on Monday, defeating in-state rival Weber State with a 4-3 win, completing the season sweep of the Wildcats. Well, guys, the men are actually out on the courts right now. They're down at the Sports Academy because of all the rain. So, yeah, go check it out if you feel like you want to.
Yeah, I'll have to do that. Well, in the rain, or maybe take an umbrella or something.
Well, it's inside at the Sports Academy because they can't play when the courts are wet. But
we need to make sure we support our Aggies in every way we can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, coming up, we'll tell you how this year's Logan City Limits concert benefited students in third world countries.
An 8-week kicks off with the famous Red Bull chariot race. When you buy your notebooks for class, you may be helping build a school in Mali. USU students are creating artistic notebooks and selling them to raise money to help other students in third world countries.
Last weekend, they attracted students' attention at Logan City Limits, the music festival held by Aggie Radio. I stopped by to take a look and pick up a book.
Everything you do, I do adore.
It was a company started by me and a bunch of other students at Utah State, and we get artists from all over the world, and we put their artwork on journals, notebooks, and sketchbooks. And then with every book that we sell, $1 goes towards building schools, and then 5% goes back to the artists. So whether they're in Europe, Asia, South America, North America, we have them from all over. It's kind of a connection, you know, when you buy a notebook or a journal, you're pursuing your education somehow, and then that book is connected to building a school somewhere. So there's a connection between books and schools. It just kind of goes hand in hand. And so this year, we're building in Mali, Africa.
The vendors are getting some exposure that they probably don't usually get with a new crowd, a different crowd than they're maybe usually around. Like with some of these art vendors and stuff, you know, I don't know that they usually get into a crowd of college students who are coming to a music festival. And so it's beneficial for them, it's beneficial for us because they're bringing friends in, but it's another avenue for the entertainment process.
Well, it's all about making a difference in the world. I mean, Aggie Radio, they want to get good music out to students and do it for free and, you know, hopefully make a difference in the students' lives some way. And we're the same way. You know, we want to make a difference in the world.
Danique is a new company that was started only last year, and if you'd like to pick up a notebook like this one and see how you can make a difference, you can check them out on Facebook.
The Red Bull chariot race took place on Monday to kick off a week here at USU. We'll leave you with Ryan Humphreys giving you a recap of everything that went on.
Every year, the Student Alumni Association hosts Utah State's A Week. This week started off with the Red Bull chariot race. Planning an event like this can be a lot of work.
This event has actually been pretty sweet to plan. We've been actually working on it since November,
It takes a lot of coordination working with the city, the university, and everyone else, and particularly Red Bull. We got all the authorizations done, so it's been about 5 months to get this organized.
It's been quite the laborious task, but it feels great to have it over with.
Students competed in teams of 3, with 2 people pulling and 1 riding the chariot. Red Bull travels to different universities across the country to pit students against one another.
This is actually a concept that Red Bull has. They've been doing it for several years. It's very rare that a university can do it twice. We had it last year, was the first year here at Utah State. It's extremely successful, so lucky we're enough to get Red Bull to come back and